Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we have a pub crawl. Yes, a pub crawl. And this is our sixth pub. So technically, I think we're all supposed to be sloshed by now because we've had a minimum of six drinks. And we have with us at our pub, I will tell you where we are in a second, with Mara Jade of Jade Shadow. Hello, Mara.
So, hello. Good to see you all. When Teresa asked me to be on, I was like racking my brain trying to come up with a topic, and it would have been easy to talk Tolkien because that's pretty much like what brought me, like I would say, at all into the nerd culture was Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits. But what some people don't exactly know about me is that there are three genres I gravitate to, and one of them is mystery. It's like, you know what? Let's talk about one of my favorite mystery authors of all time, Agatha Christie.
Yep.
Like that's because I remember reading like the Nancy Drew books and the Hardy Boys, and my parents were like, if you like these, because those are kind of like the young adults books.
Yeah.
You might like this, and like I can't remember exactly which was the first book I read of hers, but I just remember I was hooked, and every chance I got, I would try to find her books in the bookstore, and I found out that they had film adaptations, so it's like I had to watch those compared to the books. Yeah. So I can talk.
When you said that, I was geeking out because that is exactly the same story for me. It was Nancy Drew. I didn't read Hardy Boys.
I read the Hardy Boys because my dad grew up reading them. And like I said, I like the three genres I love are fantasy, like in no particular order, are fantasy, horror, and mystery. Now, like by extension, true crime, basically amongst the mystery base. And when my dad was more into like the science fiction type books, he did read the Hardy Boys. So he kind of like recommended that to me, like while I was reading Nancy Drew, and then from there went to Agatha Christie. Yeah. And then the only other mystery author I've read is Mary Higgins Clark, and she's decent as far as like modern mysteries go. Like her and her daughter, they have she's a decent writer. So.
Yeah, for me, it was, I read the Brother Cadfael. But before we step into our pub, let's say hi to the gang out waiting to talk to us we're in London today, in case you all don't know. Hello, Mara and Teresa, says Gravy D. I won't have anything to contribute, so I'll just be sitting, listening in the corner with my dunce head on. No, you won't. I'll tell you, I'm so happy you're here, and there is no such thing as a dunce, and I'm so happy that you're going to learn, and maybe you can find some things that you can read about Agatha Christie. I do remember my first novel that I read of hers, which was Death in the Nile, because my sister had it. When she was done reading it, I read it. Riker 1776. Agatha makes a good witch name. I think I skipped this era and went into gothic fiction. Hello, everyone says gaming or what? TM. Oh, look, there's me. Everyone's happy to be here. Yes, it is Trey Courtney. Hello. He's yay, ready for this discussion. How goes it, everyone? 1.21. It goes quite well. All right. And Gadfly Fiction. Everyone's saying hello. Well, look who's here. The Viking himself from the future. Big hello to two of my favorite people. I do hope both of you lovely ladies are doing superbly today.
I'm thankful tomorrow's Friday. That's all I'm going to say, right?
Yay. And I'm suspicious. He's being too nice. He's got something up his sleeves. Gadfly Fiction. Can't wait to hear about that paragon of pure masculinity that is Hercule Poirot. He is my man. Everyone's saying hello. Seek, my dad had Hardy Boys books too. I got his when I was old enough. I still have a box of them.
Yeah, they are pretty old.
Yeah, I'm being serious about Poirot's pure masculine energy, by the way. A perfect example of a number of the Jungian masculine archetypes. Yeah. Well, he was a fop's the wrong word because that's more of a British thing. Maybe a metrosexual. I don't know, because he's very much about dressing right and waxing his mustache.
I'd say probably he was like, if there's like anything like fastidious about him, it was like his appearance.
Yeah,
but he very much was like in terms of personality, like traditional. So
yeah, that is true. And Sneak says, "I love how both get paranoid whenever."
Yeah, I know. I don't trust. Like. There's a reason why I don't read his comments sometimes.
Yeah, he hasn't yet. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about the pub where we are meeting today.
I don't know necessarily too much about it, but I picked it because a number of authors would frequent it, to include the likes of like Ernest Hemingway. So I figured if we're going to be talking about, one of the classic authors in that time period, because Agatha Christie was born in 1890, then this might be like an appropriate pub to do it in. So,
yeah. Well,
and I was like looking up like historical pubs, because like those have the charm that's missing from more modern ones.
Yes. Oh no, I agree. I mean, they're bars. I mean, it's even hard to call modern ones pubs.
Yeah.
They just don't have. And what I love, I don't know the history of this particular pub, but it is not uncommon if you're in Ireland or in England, you will be in a pub that's like over 200 years old. I mean,
Well, I remember this is one of the oldest ones. I can't remember exactly when it was built, but if you look up like oldest pubs in London, it's one of the like and whatever like list you find, like whether it's like 10 or a little bit more, it's included.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been around for a while.
Yep. I'm not reading that. Yeah, but well, cool. And for those of you that for those that are in the chat and everyone coming in and everyone watching the replay, hello, thank you for being here. Like, share, and subscribe. Can you tell us, well, who is Agatha Christie? Just kind of give us an introduction.
So, like, without going into detail, she's born in 1890 and she lived until 1976. So she was about 85 years old, and she died about a couple years after the 1974 adaptation of her novel Murder in the Orient Express. So she lived to at least see that, and if I remember correctly, the trivia correctly, she actually approved of that film. She liked that film, and she liked Albert Finney as Poirot. But unfortunately, like, that was his only role as the author, and then she passed away 2 years later. But she was married twice, divorced her first husband in 1928, I want to say, when she was about 38, and then married again when she was 50. And like she wrote and she published her first Poirot story. I think that's the
Mysterious Affairs.
Yeah. In 1920. So she's about 30 years old. And like basically from that point on, she was one of the most prolific mystery writers. And what I love about her is that she was lived in the time when you would think, like when it was like genuine gender inequality. I'm not trying to sound like a feminist or anything, but when there was like actual gender inequality in terms of the sexes, that it would almost been an ideal time to kind of like write a strong heroine or something like that, or a female detective. But she actually chose a male character. Like Poirot is actually like a Belgian, so she like added that as his backstory. So like that's why he has a French accent. It's not because he's French; he's actually Belgian, and it shows that it doesn't matter the sex of the author or the sex of the character, as long as the character is good. And she managed that perfectly with not only Poirot, but then later on with Miss Marple. And Miss Marple's an elderly woman. She's not young. She's not like, or anything like that. She's like, like you would look at her basically in terms like of the character if you were like in the novel, and she would be so unassuming, but she is very sharp, and she would notice elements that like the younger crowd, the younger generation would not notice in the stories.
Yeah.
And so I would watch, actually, there was like TV, like, I don't know, I think like TV movie adaptations of Miss Marple stories as well. Miss Marple stories as well. That I watched. I think that was the one, like, because there were other film adaptations.
Yeah. But I wasn't too crazy. Well, I hate the modern ones, of course. They totally mess her up.
Yeah,
because as you say,
like, I think her name was like Margaret Rutherford or something like that.
Yes. Yeah,
like,
I think that was the first.
Yeah.
She did the Murder with Mirrors, I believe.
She might have, but there were other ones, and but like like the Murder with Mirrors, I believe, was a bit late, or at least like the version I saw was a bit later, and was with a different actress.
Yeah.
And then I would watch the David Suchet adaptations on the BBC, and he was like, I love Albert Finney. I love Albert Finney. Like, you know, these two are tied with like just like the perfect characterizations of Poirot on screen.
Yeah. I, of course, have a great deal of fondness for him because I was 13 when I first saw the Poirot series. It had just started in the late 80s. I was
Mhm.
12 or 13. So I basically watched it as a little middle schooler. It was on every Sunday night on A&E
Mhm.
all the way up to the final one in 2014. So 30 years of my life. It was 30 years of his life, but it was also 30 years of mine watching
Mhm.
him play Poirot. So it
Oh,
was
yeah.
a lot of fun.
It was a bit later for me. It was when it came to like the BBC, when we had the BBC, but but like I said, at that point I had read her story, like I had read Agatha Christie's stories, so, and then I saw his portrayal of the sleuth, and I was like, that is, I love, you know, again, I loved Albert Finney. I still do. I love his portrayal, and his portrayal got the seal of approval, as I said, from Agatha Christie herself. But like he is like neck and neck tied in terms of bringing the Belgian detective to the screen. And
Yes.
what was interesting is, like, I had actually seen him in the movie, if I remember correctly, Harry and the Hendersons first.
Oh my gosh. You're right.
Yes, I like he played a completely different character. Like this David Suchet is like a phenomenal actor, and if you were to
Yeah.
watch Harry and the Hendersons, like he is completely like 180 from
Yeah.
Poirot. But that's the first thing I had seen him in, so it didn't like register right away, and like until like after I'd started watching it. It's like, oh my god, he was in the movie about Bigfoot.
Now, I don't recall. Was he playing an American in that? I don't know if that's
No,
what you.
I no, yeah, he still. I think he was. No, he still had an accent. I can't remember exactly. If he's supposed to be French or something like that. But I can't even remember what his character was called. But like his quest essentially is like was his mission was finding proof of Bigfoot. Not only finding proof of Bigfoot, but actually like, you know, shooting Bigfoot basically, and like, you know, like that would be his proof. So he was technically the bad guy, but I don't want to necessarily say that he was the bad guy, because, you know, and like, you know, and it was more or less like his obsession really than anything, which drove him. It wasn't like he was like actually like, you know, all about trophy hunting or anything like that. I just remember one of my favorite scenes in that movie, and I know like we're talking about Agatha Christie, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie is why it registered with me when I saw him, was there's a scene where he's in the jail cell, and this is after he'd somehow ended up in the garbage or the dumpster, so his character smelled, and he's pacing back and forth in the cell, and as he's pacing one direction, the other inmates just go to the other side, and he goes like back, and like, you know, and he turns around, goes back in the other direction, the inmates go to the other side because they can't stand to be near him.
Oh my gosh.
And like he was like one of the best parts in that movie. But yeah, he's I think he was like, you know, still had like a French accent in that. But yeah, it also had I was in Don Amici and things like that. But yeah, but that was the first thing I'd seen David Suchet in, so it was kind of like an eye opener when I first see him as the titular detective and the TV adaptations for her novels. And like they did like show, like, you know, basically hour-long episodes as well as movie length episodes depending on the production.
Yes, and the majority of Poirot stories are actually short stories. There are far more short stories than there are novels of
Yeah.
his. And that's what's so much fun for me is when I want to read a Poirot story. Sometimes you don't want to read the whole novel, so you can just get out the short story and read it at one sitting and revisit it. And what's amazing about what she did with Poirot, his first appearance was like 1920, and his final one was in 1975. And that's how long she wrote this dude.
Yeah, that's why, like I say, that she's one of the most prolific authors, because like 55 years of this character, and she's writing up to a year before she passed away.
Yeah, and I think she almost came up with one every year. And of course, it's not just Poirot. We've already mentioned Agatha Christie. Another one that a lot of people don't know about is Tommy and Tuppence. I don't know if you read any of their stories about the husband and wife detectives from the 1920s.
I think I might have read one or two. I read more of the Poirot and Miss Marple novels, but I do remember Tommy and Tuppence, because like you mentioned, they were husband and wife, kind of like detectives.
Yeah. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong. I thought I had a Tommy and Tuppence thing up here. Maybe I made a mistake. Let me just get rid of this screen. Yes, and longest running West End play, The Mousetrap. So that lady, she knew what she was doing. She got around.
Yeah. So I have unfortunately, this one has look for the major motion picture coming soon, but it was the only copy I could find, like I get at the time. But just to give the chat perspective on how long this book is, would have been one of the novel lengths of 265 pages, but it's like a very quick read.
Yeah,
and sorry. Evil Under the Sun, which is, I think, like going to probably, if not the next one of the next ones to be butchered, I would say.
Yeah, or I just don't even want to think about it. They're just horrible, and so are the TV. Well, they've done horrible modern TV adaptations of Miss Marple recently, and including Tommy and Tuppence, and they're just completely made up. They're not even based on any of the books. It's just horrendous. You mentioned Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, because that was the one of the not like it was like one, like I remember, like one of the stories I remember initially reading early on. Like I said, I can't remember if it was the first or not, but it was. I absolutely loved the 1974 adaptation with Albert Finney. I reread it recently, not too long ago, and so I could kind of do a comparison from the book to the adaptations I had seen, and the Finney version is the closest, like short of like page to page, like adaptation. Pretty much, it is the closest and most faithful to the book than other adaptations I've seen.
Yeah,
even I would argue even the David Suchet one. And while it pains me to say this, but I do not like the David Suchet version, because they take that version, despite the stellar acting on Suchet's parts, takes liberties with the story that I did not agree with, did not like. But on that note, I would still watch that one over the Kenneth Branagh one any day.
Exactly. And before we go a little bit into the I rant incoming, as Terry Courtney says, Murder on the Orient Express as a novel, what she did, and I don't want to give it away just in case there's anyone here that hasn't read it, because it is such a damned good twist.
And I love how like she like split each chapter into, because basically, like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but for those in the chat, the Orient Express is a train. It is where pretty much the entire plot, or most of the entire plot, takes place. So the murder happens on the train, and I don't mean to sound like disparaging when I say this, but how convenient Poirot is there. Like, it's one of those situations where the murder plan did not take into account the happenstance of Poirot being on that train, as well as the fact that it got stopped by a snowdrift. So she broke up each chapter, like, based on the occupants. So each chapter was basically dedicated to Poirot interviewing each, Pierre, the conductor, as well as the travelers.
Yes.
So it wasn't like throwing everything at the reader throughout the book. It's like you could actually take a chapter and focus on, like Mrs. Hubbard, or the murder victim's butler, and so forth.
Yes. Yeah. And once you know the ending, and Gravy D is adding it to the audiobook list. Yes, do. So I don't want to give the ending away. Once you do, though, you'll understand that it is like a very famous trope, if you, I don't want to say trope, but people have emulated it so many times and they just don't realize that she did it first. And it still just blows my mind. Another one that I would say,
it's one of the like most difficult ones to even talk about because of the whodunit parts.
It's like, yeah, and if you ruin it, it really you just can't. The whole book you just might as well burn it if it's ruined. And no Wonder Woman. But and another one that she did was the murder of Roger Ackroyd. That was another one that just blew people's mind who the killer was and changed everything about how you write a novel and the whole unreliable narrator, etc.
Yeah, there was even, I remember even like an adaptation, like as again like the Suchet version, and I can't remember which mystery it was adapting or what story it was adapting, kind of. But he and Hastings were watching a play, and the Hastings kind of bet him that he would not be able to deduce the whodunit, and Poirot was not able to deduce what happened, but in Poirot's defense, he was like, the play did not give the audience all the details. Like they basically, I remember that, and I think that's kind of like what's, like you said, the unreliable narrator and things like that. And if the audience is left without certain clues, then
it's bad storytelling.
Yeah, it's basically like the reveal comes out of nowhere. And I think in a sense, like that was when Poirot was talking to Hastings about that, I was like, yeah, that's kind of like Agatha Christie's whole writing style.
Yeah.
Where it's like you don't exactly have to minutely read it, but at the same time, it's like you can't just skim. Because you will miss something if you do skim her work.
Correct. And again, her insight, what she does. And G.K. Chesterton also was annoyed by that. He wrote an essay about what makes a bad detective story. It's because you have to give people all the information. Who set it up here? Oh, Gadfly Fiction. Yes, the first critique of the mystery. But see, that's why storytelling is through the roof. Is not only does it suck, you can see why it sucks, because it ignores every rule of storytelling. This whole subverting expectations. You can subvert expectations, but you have to do it correctly. And Agatha Christie was a master.
Oh yeah, like Murder in Orient Express is like a perfect example of that. Of the proper way to subvert the audience's expectations, but to do so in a way where it's like it actually makes sense. It actually makes sense when and you go back and reread it and like, oh, okay, like you're seeing the little clues.
Yeah. Once you know how it ends, I always tell people go back and reread the whole thing again. And it's like, and you're like, how could I not have seen it? But it just will blow in your mind so much. But she was just such a master crafter.
Oh yeah. So it's and I'd say it's like she's, other than Mary Higgins Clark, she's really like one of the only mystery writer I've really read. But I don't really see anyone, at least modern day, coming close in comparison to her.
No. Steve, you took the words out of my mouth. It's subverting expectations without insulting the audience and our intelligence.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you have the reveal, like in Evil Under the Sun and Death on the Nile.
Great.
And again, in a sense, subverting the expectations, but at the same time, it's like, again, rereading it, going, okay, here's where I should have picked up on something. Here's where I should have picked up on another clue.
Yeah. I mean, all of the Poirot ones are good, but these are particular ones. Also, so is Death in the Clouds. That one blew my mind too.
I packed up my books. I've read Death in the Clouds. I've read Hickory Dickory Dock. I've read God, I could look up a list and go, okay, I've read that one. I've read that one. I've read that one. I'm actually gonna look up the list and see how many. Scroll down.
Yeah, I've read all.
I've read a lot.
Yeah, short
of her stories. Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's easy to read all of the Miss Marple ones because she only wrote about 10 of them, I think. She did not write a lot of Miss Marple.
Okay, I read Mysterious Affair at Styles. I read Murder on the Links, Murder of Roger Ackroyd. I believe I read Murder at the Vicarage.
Oh, that's a great Miss Marple one. Yes.
Peril at End House. I read that. Murder on the Orient Express. I read that. 3-Act Tragedy. Death in the Clouds. The ABC Murders. Dumb Witness. Death on the Nile. Appointment with Death. Hercule Poirot's Christmas. And then there were none. Sad Cypress. I read 1, 2 Buckle My Shoe. Evil Under the Sun. N or M. The Body in the Library. 5 Little Pigs. Let's see.
Yeah,
there was one that dealt around Halloween. They do it with mirrors.
They do it with mirrors. Oh, that Halloween one was fucked up.
Yeah, Hickory Dickory Dock. Where is it? Cat Among the Pigeons. I read that.
Gosh, they're all good. The ABC Murders is an amazing one.
Yeah, Halloween.
That's one of my favorites. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
and it's when I say it's fucked up, she went into an area where I was like, dude,
it's like she's like, I'm like based.
It's like, did you really do that?
It's almost based.
yeah, I love what you say. Well, The Body in the Library, that was the first one of the modern Miss Marple, and they don't even call her Miss Marple; it's called Marple, where those bastards changed who the killer was. And I just remember thinking, this sucks, because if you think you can do better than Agatha Christie with her own story, you can just take a flying leap.
Well, they're doing that with Tolkien. They're doing that with Christie. They're doing that with Tolkien. They're like this, believing that they can tell a better story.
Yeah.
So
better story than some of the greatest writers of the 20th century. Yes.
Yeah.
And definitely.
Yeah. In the last article I covered, actually had the audacity to drop the word originality.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Magic the Gathering, Lord of the Rings sets. Originality.
Oh fudge! Well, I made another video about that. And Stig, you are correct. When I was recovering, and he bought me the ABC's Murders Point and Click game, which is really fun. The only problem was, since I knew the ending, it's like, well, that's okay. So I got to relive it. Yeah. No, it does not take place on Sesame Street.
No, there's a reason why it's called ABC Murders. There's a reason why it's called the ABC Murders. You read it, or if you listen to the audiobook, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can't exactly go into the details of these books without
spoiling them.
Potentially, spoiling anything.
Yeah. Well, and not only does she have her major detectives, she has really fun sidekicks. Like, I love Captain Hastings and oh my gosh, it just went right out of mind. I love him so much I can't remember the detective, the Provost, because there's always the detective, the real detective, the police inspector Jap, and Hastings, and
I remember Jap and I remember Hastings. That's what I remember. And then I remember Poirot's, what's her name? His kind of like secretary of sorts.
Yeah, she's great. And so you really know them. And what was fun, the actors were still alive, so they were able to come back at the end too, like all the side characters, even though they're all old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yay. Well, we are teachers. Both of us are teachers. So there you go.
I'd love to be able to teach like Murder on the Orient Express and see if the students can figure out who done it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a masterpiece, and it pisses me off that people think if it's fantasy or murder mystery that it's not quality, and it's like, no, you will not read there's a reason why she is still a bestseller after all these years.
Like, exactly, like you pointed out, he was right. She literally wrote up to a year before her death. And her first novel, for those who were just joining the chat. So I see. Hey, Biggles. It's like first novel was in 1920, so 55 years. Like
Yeah.
you do not go that long if you are just a mediocre writer.
No. And she just cranked them out. She would come out with 1 or 2 novels a year. When you look at her writing, her bibliography, it's like
Mhm.
boom, boom, boom. And as I even said, even play.
I got this, and like I'm finally getting around to like going through the books I have to read this. My parents got this for me,
Mhm.
so
Is that the short stories or is that?
no, it's actually basically the history. Agatha Christie, the character Poirot. So it's basically full. Here, I'll show you behind the scenes story of these Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot.
Dang. Oh, I'm echoing, but holy
Yeah.
crap. I'm jealous now. Steek says he needs to buy a hardcover of Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie. Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. If you can find them, buy them.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Hey,
Sam
Sam.
McCabe. Yes. Another. And I think literature. Actually, I don't know what you do. I mean, someone said, like, what do you teach? Well, I'm a music teacher mostly, though technically I can teach history. I'm certified in history as well and anthropology. Biggles Nuts, you are correct. There is a Doctor Who episode about Agatha Christie. The one with, was it the dude from Harry Potter? I think.
I never watched Doctor Who, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Genre snobbery is a real problem, says Sam McCabe. It is. It is indeed. And I am starting to get together a video series where I'm going through the scholarship of Tom Shippey about J.R.R. Tolkien and his Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and Silmarillion, but especially the Lord of the Rings, where he justifies why Tolkien is the author of the 20th century. It's a magnificent work. And that's right. English, Indonesia. Oh, well, there you go. Dang. Oh yeah, it was an alien thing. David Tennant, thank you. I keep saying the guy from Harry Potter. Is Harry Potter thing. Well, we're 30 minutes in. Do you feel like you want to give a little bit of your opinion about Kenneth Branagh, an actor I love, but who I want to
like this what pains me to like really. That's what like one of the reasons why it pains me to that I'm ranting about. Well, because I did not, and maybe at some point I will break down and watch this. I really did not watch the entirety of the Kenneth Branagh version of Murder on the Orient Express because I had seen snippets of it, and then I'd seen read about what they were what they were doing in development prior to the film's release. And it's like everything I read was like red flag after red flag after red flag after red flag. Like, for example, not only combining I think they combined the Doctor and the Colonel character. Because those are two separate characters in the book. Those are two separate characters, and the Touche did it as well. But not only did they combine the Colonel and the Doctor character in the Branagh version, but they race swapped him. Pretty much. Which, I'm sorry, history doesn't care about feelings. So history was like he would not be in that position. Yeah, it sucks to be like to hear that, but he would have not been in that position given that time period. They changed the Count to a dancer, and the Count is supposed to be like a Hungarian Count who's like traveling with his wife pretty much, and they're like basically aristocrats essentially, but they made him a dancer and a drug addict.
Yeah, which
I'm like, what the fuck?
And it completely takes away from who and what the characters are. And she very carefully crafted them. And combining characters on Murder on the Orient Express is also a crime, if you will, once you see the solution. So it's like you can't. And you're right. The whole room.
And like I said, the Suche did it as well. But at the same time, it's like, again, I would watch that version over the Branagh version. But it's like I said, like red flag after red flag after red flag I was saying, and it's like it was changes, and it was like that did nothing, that like added nothing, did nothing. Did not make any sense as to why they went that route. But I went to go see Death on the Nile. Went in with zero expectations, like just to see if like they at all learned from the reaction people had to Murder on the Orient Express. And no, they did not. They did not. I don't know how they made it worse, but they made it fucking worse, to include giving a backstory to why Poirot has a mustache.
Yeah, I lost my shit. I'm sitting there watching it with my parents, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's all about his mustache, and it bookended the stupid story.
Yeah, it pretty much did. Again, it was one of the stories I went in already knowing who done it. I already knew the who done it. I knew the motive, and I knew how it was accomplished. So like that would not have been a surprise to me. Pretty much, it would have been a surprise if they had changed that, but they didn't. However, they added a character that was not in the book at all. A character that's actually in the Murder on the Orient Express, and they made him younger. Because he's supposed to be a contemporary of Poirot. So they did that. And like the whole thing with the character that they added is called, his last name is Bouc, right? So another basically French name. Anyway, and I don't know why they made it like they did this with this character, but they put him in an interracial romance because they race swapped again 2 other characters from the novel. Not only race swapped the one character, the aunt or the mother, she's the mother. But they made her an aunt, right? In the Death on the Nile, but she was a mother in the book.
Yes.
Not only did they race swap the mother's character, but the mother is a romance novelist who's also a lush. Basically, she drinks a lot.
Yep.
And so whenever she talks, no one really believes her, because how do they know that she's actually telling the truth? Because like they have no way of believing if she's like sober enough that she actually saw what she saw, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Well, and she also told a lot of lies because she was lying about going to get drink because her daughter was trying to get her not to drink, so she kept hiding her alcohol. So she was lying to everybody.
Yeah,
it was a major plot point that she was an alcoholic. And
they changed her from a novelist who also was suspected because she was getting dirt. She would get dirt on people, pretty much. But they changed her to a jazz singer. And made her the aunt of I don't know what this actress's name was. I really don't care to know. She was in the Black Panther movie. She plays Black Panther's sister. So she's in this movie, the remake of Death on the Nile. And they changed it from a mother-daughter relationship to an aunt-niece relationship. And the niece is in a relationship with Bouc. So they had that whole spin about interracial romance and
it hurts my
that
head.
narrative. Like, why the fuck did we need that in the movie? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then Jennifer Saunders' character is being shared with a lesbian.
Oh yeah, that was oh gosh, they had it all, didn't they? And it hurt because they were actually good actors, and it was a superb cast. It was just retardando writing.
Yeah, it's because she's traveling with like her friends, and then Poirot deduces basically correctly that it's like they're actually not just friends.
It's like yeah. We
So.
don't need to be the greatest detective on the planet. It just cheapened Poirot so much.
Yes, and like I said, we got a backstory on his mustache, which we didn't need, which they changed his entire backstory as a result.
Mm-hmm.
What else? The doctor They removed the commie character because there was a guy. Well, was he communist or socialist?
I think he was a communist because what he was. Well, I don't want to give away the backstory of it, but yeah, they didn't want to have a character as a communist because everyone was kind of like, this guy's a moron in the book. So of course they can't do that because they love their communists.
Yes, so they removed his character. It kept the Doctor, played by Russell Brand, and he was I would say one of the only ones I actually gave a shit about in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like shocking because he was played by Russell Brand, but he was like one of the only ones they actually gave a shit about in the movie. Yeah. They all did acting wise, did a decent job. Even Russell Brand, because he was believable in a serious role. But at the same time, it was like they made his character in love with the murder victim's character, which did not happen in the book because he was actually kind of in love with the novelist's daughter, and so they removed the commie, and by doing that and adding Book and having him in a relationship with the niece already, fucking hell. I was like, it's all over the fucking place.
Well, and what made my dad lose it, I was telling Mara behind the scenes that toward the end, my dad just finally went, what the F did we just watch? But one of the most ridiculous parts of it was they had Poirot running around like he was friggin' Remington Steele or something, like a bad 80s chase with a gun.
Yeah, that's not, and again, it's not Poirot. Fuck.
Oh, and it's not Agatha Christie. She doesn't have that shit in there.
No.
And someone had given a point to Captain Hastings. Every now and then, if there was some action being done, Captain Hastings would be the one to do it, but it was not. They weren't running around the boat on Death on the Nile. I mean, it just hurt.
The Ustinov version is actually pretty accurate. Ustinov, I wouldn't say, is my favorite portrayal of Poirot. But at the same time, it's like that his Death on the Nile is a lot fucking better than the modern adaptation.
Yeah.
And then Brucey says David Suchet still plays the best Poirot. I would argue Albert Finney is right up there, neck and neck with David Suchet. It's just David Suchet played him more. Yeah. Albert Finney was only in one movie. So, yeah, Ustinov is like I would say is like in comparison, he was like not the best Poirot, but actually I would actually put him above Kenneth Branagh.
And can you imagine? That's how bad and how much woke mandates of movies have effed things up when you have to put Kenneth Branagh on the bottom.
Yeah, like it's like one of the best current actors working still even today, and I'm like, he's on the bottom.
It's like I'm living in an alternate reality. That's what I'm living in. Yeah. It's like, just shoot me now.
It's like mind-boggling. It's again, it's like with any property nowadays, the blueprint is right there. It's not like they're trying to come up with the plots on their own. It's they have the blueprints. And again, depending on what rights they have, they wouldn't necessarily be able to adapt, direct page to screen, things like that without risking plagiarism. But at the same time, it's like,
come on.
Okay, like the Albert Finney version, again, minor liberties. Like they altered things in that movie, but at the same time, it was not to the detriment of the plot itself. Like, for example, as I mentioned, in the novel, the man Poirot is not traveling with, but he meets his friend Book prior to getting on the Orient Express, and like technically they traveled together. But in the movie, they changed Martin Balsam's character to Bianchi, an Italian name, because I thought it'd be a bit confusing having two French names together. Which is, I'm like, I would not have been confused, but at the same time, it's like, okay, whatever. It did not take anything away from. Like, they did not change anything about the characters. Didn't change anything about the plot itself. So, like little, like I understand little liberties here and there. Like some changes, in a way, do make sense sometimes adapting from page to screen. because some things don't adapt well sometimes from one medium to another. But like when you bastardize Poirot's backstory, when it's not even an adaptation, because I read the book and then I watch the movie, and like nothing about the movie is at all resembles what I read in the book, and it's not an adaptation.
No, it is not. It like I said, it's just painful, especially if you really love these. I wanted to give a small shout out to Matt Wilkins, who wants to buy us a drink. Hello, Matt. Matt Wilkins is going to be the next guest on the pub crawl, but once Mara and I leave here, and you may buy a drink. I used to drink a Bombay Sapphire Martini straight up with a lime twist, extra dry. After we're done with that, we're going to be going over to a soda jerk with Matt Wilkins on Monday, because it's going to be a sober break. Because if we drink anymore, we're all going to get poisoning. So we're going to be at a soda jerk, getting some food, getting some ice cream, and we're going to talk about life unplugged before the internet. So please stay tuned for that.
Yeah. So.
Hello, Dead Man. Yeah, and welcome to everyone that's coming in. This is a great discussion. And I did hear you correct that you are planning on doing a deeper dive into the Murder on the Orient Express a movie, the Kenneth Branagh one that you're going to be doing.
Well, I don't know if I'll exactly do necessarily a video review on it, but at some point I will watch it so I can actually, because what I do is I have like I said, I want to reread the book, even though I know it pretty much by heart, but I want to reread the book and then watch the movie, so I can actually pick apart, not only pick apart, but tear apart.
The
film.
Crucify it.
Yes, because like I said, everything that I read leading up to it, I was like, that's not how it happened. That's not the character. Why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense.
It's just retardando. Yeah. So there we go. And thank you, Biggles, for being here. Biggles is also going to be on the pub crawl. It's filling up. We got lots of people that apparently like to drink and talk. So it's he's going to be on in a few weeks. Mara roasting your movie. Yay.
So whenever I do watch it, I'll let the chat know. So I'll most likely roast it during one of my gaming streams or something. So
there we go. Sure. Yeah. And if one of my mods could help me out, I do have some of Mara's stuff in the description, but if you would throw out her Kickstarter and her channel and her Twitter, all that good stuff, I'd appreciate that. And meanwhile, Stieg, he's still sucking up to us. You see, he's going to do something.
He has something planned. He has something nefarious planned. So I already know how. I already know how the new campaign is going to start, as per tradition with my character. But I'm like side-eyeing him. I don't trust him.
Yeah. Well, all I know is that ruined my search history because I said I did a search and I regretted it. Yes, that is true. Stieg is the backup. Sammy Cape says, why is an incredibly important question narrative-wise, just as important as why now?
Yeah.
Get those candles ready. Well, I already did, quote unquote, send Stieg a C -- candle. Trey said it.
Yeah. Thank you, Trey. That's the tradition.
Like I said,
because I'm lippy with the DM, pretty much.
Because he gives her lip, or she gives him lip, rather.
I give him lip, yeah.
And like I said, I had to erase my search history. The things that came up. Yeah, I bought some immersion things. All right, well, go back to the Agatha Christie stuff. Before we go into our roll 7, that'll be in about 10 minutes or so. Where would you recommend people in the chat? I think you already said it. To start with Agatha Christie, and maybe places to avoid, I don't know, pitfalls, anything you want to say about someone that maybe doesn't know a lot about the books.
Well, I don't know about pitfalls necessarily, so I can't exactly say what to avoid. But as far as like where to start,
I mean, I would still say
I would start with. Because I don't think it too much matters because the Mysterious Affair of Styles is her first novel, but for like the novice pretty much coming in, I'd probably recommend ABC Murders to start.
Ooh.
Start with that book. That or I'd say probably that or I'd say Evil Under the Sun, which came in 1941. So basically, ABC Murders was 1936, and about 5 years later was Evil Under the Sun. So, but like really, it's one of those book, it's a series, for one better way of putting it, where it's like it's not exactly a continuation, where it's like you don't necessarily have to absolutely start with the first book. But like ABC Murders, I would say start there.
Yeah, I find that interesting. I wouldn't have said that, but the moment you said it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's right. That is a good one." And even though we've been talking about Murder on the Orient Express, and hell, if you want to read it first, go for it. She's right. That might be a ways to ease into it. Or if you don't have maybe a lot of time, go ahead and read some of the short stories because the short stories are fun.
Yeah.
Hello, Orange Chat. Yeah, you'll see Orange Chat as a guest on. Is he going to be on for your next movie?
Yes, because the 1s and 2s will be for this month, which will start this coming Wednesday, next Wednesday, the 14th, and that is we're talking about the Bill and Ted movies. So we're discussing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure for the 1s, and then Bogus Journey for the 2s.
Oh, yay! Okay. You heard it here first. I guess when I was thinking of Pitfalls, I was going through my head. I don't think she really spoils things. There'll be like a minor spoiler. Like, oh yeah, remember that one time when there was that problem at the golf course, on the links, or people might get married and stuff, but they're never major stories.
Yeah.
Spoilers. I just didn't.
They'll reference things, but like for the most part, it's not like you'll be completely lost.
Yeah.
If you don't absolutely start with the first book.
Yeah.
Because I didn't start with the first book. I remember I don't think the Mysterious Affair of Styles is the first one I read. I actually think probably the first one I read, which I actually don't think was Murder on the Orient Express, unless I read that. I think I read that after seeing the movie. I think the first one was probably ABC Murders.
Oh, well, there you go.
But yeah, so like I said, like there will be references. There will be it's like you said, alluding to certain things, but it's not like if you have not read the book, it's not like you're gonna be completely lost. Because it's nothing really anything that would majorly impact the plot of the book you're reading.
Well, yeah, there you go. I must admit, it's been a while since I've actually read them. I've watched a lot of them because my folks are into them. They just discovered the David Suchet ones. So that's why we've been doing it. That kept us during the hurricane. We were stuck. That and the monk mysteries, but I digress on that.
Yeah. We actually have some of the DVDs of the Suchet. Not all of them, but some of them we still have, my parents still have them.
Yep. And as we all learned the hard way, don't give them away, because we'd given away a whole bunch of the DVDs to Goodwill because my dad's like, well, you know what, we always watch it on BritBox TV, and there was only like 2 that we had. And then when the hurricane came and we lost our cable, but we could still hook up our DVD, we were like, no.
Yes.
Good point. Yeah, the road Wordlier says the stories are pretty much self-contained.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
They're pretty much self-contained. Like I said, there would be maybe allusions here and there to like other cases, but for the most part, it's not like it's like you read one and then the next one will like be a direct like sequel to what just happened. Like the stories themselves are.
Yep.
You can pretty much start anywhere, I would say, but for those who have not, I would say probably recommend ABC Murders.
Okay. With one obvious exception, and that is Curtain. That's the final novel of the Poirot's final novel. Don't read that. Read that one last.
Yes.
And remove all sharp objects from your home and have a therapist and a big tub of chocolate ice cream ready. I bawled and bawled.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 Buy it, Stieg. Buy it, Stieg. All right. So I always give a last chance, if you will. Anything Agatha Christie, any of her works that you want everyone to know that I haven't already asked.
No, I wish I could like talk more about the works, but you can't really without risking giving anything away. But if you want to read something where it's like, like we brought up casually earlier, Halloween Party.
Yes,
that's where it's like, okay, she's based.
yes.
Because that was like, I think the year that came out was 1969, so she would have been 1969.
She was sick of kids by that point.
Yeah, she was sick, like really fucking sick of kids by that point.
It's like, fuck those kids and their Halloween parties.
Yeah, so she would have been. She was born in 1890, so she would have been. I'm trying to do math right now. 79. Like she lived to be a ripe old age, but yeah, at that point she was sick of kids.
Yeah, she probably. It's like in their sending the stupid parties. And what's fun about Agatha Christie, I've mentioned it before, that it is a family tradition that we always watch the Poirot Christmas mystery, the David Suchet one at Christmas, and you can watch the Halloween one at Halloween. So you can always revisit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but I remember reading that, going, "Wow."
Yeah. Well, the Christmas one's kind of messed up too.
Yeah. Like both of them are like, it's like you can tell she had a different perspective on certain things.
Yeah. Well, and also maybe with the times changing, she got away with some things she would never have been allowed to do in the 1920s.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, most excellent. Now, this is a portion of the pub crawl where we the game comes out and the dice are ready. I have 20 questions. We roll 7. So I roll a d20 7 times. Each one will give us a certain question. I encourage the people in the chat to participate as you'd like. The questions are designed to be as rated G as you like, or as rated R or X. It depends on the guest, and anything can happen on Miss Muses with the roll 7, and things already have gotten messed up. So let's see. One more point. Road Warrior.
Oh my God! All in her book, she killed them. They'd be all victims.
They'd be a slaughter.
Yes,
there would be. Okay. Yes, I should give credit where credit is due. I think I told maybe you behind the scenes. Yes, this is Stieg's idea. Stieg did contribute. Actually, Stieg was a big contributor to the whole idea of doing this interview series and how it would be formatted. And my mother played a huge role in these. Stieg helped me with this, my mom and my dad with these questions. So time tested by different generations. Here we are, the first roll.
Okay.
All right. Oh, this is an easy one. What's your favorite movie and why?
Oh, just in general?
Yeah, choose one. Any movie.
It would be incredibly easy for me to say the Lord of the Rings films, but actually, in terms of nostalgia and how I was when I was a child, you cannot see the poster, but 1939's Wizard of Oz, I would say, is my favorite movie of all time, because when I was learning how to talk, I could not pronounce my TH sounds yet. So again, little Mara, still learning how to talk. My parents would ask me, "Okay, what do you want to watch?" And I'd say, "Dorothy."
Oh,
Dorothy. I would say, try to say Dorothy, and that was my favorite, actually favorite movie to watch, is 1939's Wizard of Oz. So I would say that movie for that reason alone, because of it pretty much was instrumental in my childhood. Oh, yes, I had a speech impediment when I was 3 years old. Sue me.
Yeah. And objectively speaking, that movie's magnificent. It has
It was
kept.
actually like Margaret Hamilton did such an amazing job playing the Wicked Witch of the West, and it's actually sad what happened afterwards because I think she was a teacher. And she was actually a very nice lady in real life, like extremely nice lady, but kids became afraid of her. Like little kids became afraid of her. And it was kind of like sad at that point because like she was not able to, they didn't want to be anywhere near her. Yeah, but she was one of the nicest ladies.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, she scared the out of me. The whole "how about a little fire, scarecrow?"
When you see her from going from Miss Gulch to the Wicked Witch during that tornado scene.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's going, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. And wait, are you saying that Mara was inspired by the Wicked Witch? No. Mara's sweet. Right. Question 2. What is the most annoying habit that other people have?
What's the most annoying habit that other people have? Well, a lot of shit annoys me, but I mean, narrow it down to the most annoying. I think in terms of, I guess, physical habits that kind of makes my eyes twitch are the people that for some reason have to smack their lips. I don't know why. I don't know like, why. But at the same time, it's like they haven't just eaten or anything like that. They would like to be talking or they'd be take a swig of something and go. I'm like,
oh, you're right. I mean, see, I was thinking about people that just smack their lips when they eat, like.
Yeah, but they say eating is like one thing, but if they take a swig of something or they like it's like,
or like this is so good. It's like a little chipmunk. You just want to punch him in the face.
Like that. Like I don't know what it is about that sound, but it just kind of grates on me a little bit.
It probably
it's one of the most annoying.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good one. Hello, Widdly Winky Woo. All right. 3. What would you do with $1 million?
Oh shit! Like I think I'm like Mahan Solo. I can think of a lot of things I would do. Well, my school loans are already paid off, but what I would do is I would help my parents pay for the renovations to their house.
Aww.
And not like I wouldn't go all out on the house, but like purchase a place for myself and maybe my sister to live with me while she's going back to school. Somewhere where there's like a yard for my dog. And then the rest I would actually set aside for investments and travel.
Oh, yay.
So like, I'm not going to be the type that would just splurge. I think the biggest splurge I would make would be like the helping with my parents' house and like buying a house. So
yeah. Well, there you go. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, Trey. Well,
I mean that's Trey. Yes, also a lot of weed. Yes.
To tell you a secret about teachers, not me. There's a lot of smoking, and I'm not talking cigarettes among the educators of here. Oh, Sneak says you could swing by my place for a proper cod dinner.
Yes, I do like cod. Actually, I like one of like the only ones in my like immediate family that likes whitefish.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's good. Well, Steve gave me a really good recipe for a cod meal. He's Monsieur Le Cook. This refers back to the mouth smacking thing you were just talking about. He goes, no, oh boy,
noted. Yes.
Oh dear. I saw teachers. I'm not lying when I said it wasn't me. I would say so because I don't want to rot in hell for lying. But there's a lot of drinking and a lot of crying in the teachers' lounge.
Given what the current state, it's like not.
No judgment.
Yes, really not going to judge.
Oh, look at Sam. He would pay off his student debts and buy a family home.
Mm-hmm.
I had a teacher that smoked with us once after high school. Yeah, one of the weirdest experiences I had was drinking with some students. And at first I was like, you can't go out for a drink, And they're like, Miss, we're 25. And I was like, screw
I
my
remember
life.
it was feeling like weird going back and seeing my psychology teacher in high school and talking to him because he was one of my favorite teachers when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved him. And unfortunately, this teacher passed away. The one I'm going to talk about, but they had their classrooms like opposite each other because there was like the roof had like a space, so you could like see across to the different classrooms, and they would shout at each other. They were like the crazy ones.
Oh yeah,
like crazy in a good way. Like crazy in a good way. Like like one was a psychology teacher, and and also he taught European history, and then the other one was like a history teacher. And they were the ones that actually made learning fun. And the history teacher, I remember, it didn't happen when I was in school, but he was recounting when when one of the cheerleaders, unfortunately for the student he did this to, left one of those like big megaphones, like those like,
oh yeah,
that the cheerleaders had, like not the electronic ones, but like,
I know the ones you're talking about,
yeah.
the old fashioned ones.
And so she left one in his classroom, so he decided to take that and go into the boys' bathroom and sneak up behind this one kid pissing at the urinal and scare him. And he would do that periodically throughout the day. And he's like, it got to a point where the principal came to his classroom and didn't say anything and just pointed at him and said,
that's fun. Man, what is it with all these good people?
Yeah.
You're Steve's gonna pay off some of his sister's loans and pay off Toriel's medical bills and squander the rest. Orange Cat would pay for a simple house and pay off his mother's debts. Yes, teachers love cake. Teachers love anything with sugar in them, or teachers just love anything. Okay, I always tell people just bring crap to your teachers. If you've never seen a barbaric situation the way you'll see it in an elementary teacher's lounge. It used to be when I was a kid. When they used to be able to smoke the teacher's lounge. You'd knock on the teacher's lounge, and they'd open up the door and smoke is everywhere. Yes. Trey's the irresponsible one. Yeah, you couldn't do that.
Pretty much like the only like real splurge other than like buying a house would be like the travel, just to be able like to go to different places. But yeah.
Well, and buying a house is important. Well, because that's an investment. Once you have a house, like my house is my anchor. I got my little house here, and it's gold. It's gold. Yeah. I'm going to keep it forever. Alrighty. So now that everyone's movie memorabilia, of course. Right. Well, let's go on to the next one. What is your favorite TV show and why?
Oh, what? I never actually. Well, I watched a lot of TV shows when I was younger, so I'd have to really think back because it got to a point where I kind of like moved away from because I really don't watch a lot of TV now. But growing up, I would say, when I was in high school, it'd be Buffy the Vampire Slayer because I was also interested in vampires and vampire lore, and it's kind of like combination of at the time modern, I guess modern teen drama, for one better way of putting it, and vampires. And it's a way like basically like I don't like Wicked Virtues like brought it up actually where the female characters were strong but they weren't perfect because they would make mistakes, they'd make wrong choices, and so forth. The one male character, Xander, that's part of the core group, didn't have any like powers of his own, but he brought the humanity to the group as well as the levity, and it like just blended well together. Now I watched that pretty much as far as like live action. Watched that just about as soon like when it premiered onward when I was in high school.
Oh, well, those are some of the best memories of those kind of shows. And Steve is recommending you watch Allo Allo. I must admit, it was good advice for me. It's wrong, but good. He would never be able to make it today. Never.
I know there's like so many I need to catch up on. There's so like many. I'm trying. I'm like seriously trying. Because I don't watch a lot of TV. And when I do, I generally put something on that I can like follow without having to pay attention to it because I'm doing something else.
Yeah. True. Well, there's not really any good new TV shows, like traditional TV shows. It's the one I'm watching right now is Manifest. I was about ready to say Manifest is, but there's 4 episodes left before the finale. So it may either be one of my favorite shows or maybe one of my least favorite shows because if they don't stick the landing, it'll be a lost situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like a lot of Low, Thundercats, Cobra Kai. You know what? How could I? Yeah, Cobra Kai is probably the best new show in general. Yeah.
Like I watched Thundercats. I watched Batman the Animated Series. I watched Tales from the Crypt because they had that show with the Crypt Keeper. Tales from the Dark Side, Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, like the classic Outer Limits. So many TV shows because like top 10, like the next top 10 for this coming month is like top 10 TV show intros, openings. So I'm like I had to narrow it down not only from the number of shows I've seen to a 10, but it's like the intros. So. I watched a lot.
Well, there you go. Blue Bloods is going to show. Oh, you know what?
I've watched some episodes, but never really got into watching that. I watched Law and Order a lot. Yeah. The original Law and Order was very good early on before it kind of got a little bit too, I guess, white collar. But I love Criminal Intent, Law and Order Criminal Intent, with Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah. And if we can have one that's not fiction, my current favorite is Very Scary People. Me and my dad like to watch that. It's about serial killers with Donnie Wahlberg.
Nonfiction, because one of my favorite genres is mystery, as I said. And that kind of and the connection to that would be like true crime. What would get me sucked in and watching something like nonstop, like marathoning, would be something on Investigation Discovery. So I watched Deadly Women, See No Evil.
Signs of a Psychopath is one of mine. I like that
and
one.
Like there's so many. I'm trying to I was just watching one where like it's like recounting like bad blood between neighbors. There's one, I can't remember what the title of the show is called, but it's a very interesting perspective because the narration is the victim. Like the victim is narrating it. And it like recounts the events leading up to the murder. So kind of like, it goes through the events, who's potential culprit and so forth. And they'll find, because it's the end, you find out who actually did it. But I like the perspective of like the victim is the one narrating it. It's like, who killed me? So like one of these people that I think like is my friend or someone I know is going to turn on me, sort of situation.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right, let's see. Yeah, that was a lot of gold there. Oh, the way it's. At first, I thought it was a 6, but it is instead. Oh, shut up, Steve. Oh, I said something mean. Well, he had it coming.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the one thing you can't live without?
What's the one thing I can't live without? So, well, I don't want to give like a technology answer because we pretty much live our lives via technology. So, obviously, the one thing now that I could not live without would be my dog. She is a pain. She's a little pain in the butt, but she's my baby.
Yeah.
And like she was a birthday, like basically my birthday present. Like she's 9, so like 9 years ago. So yeah, my dog.
Yeah.
So he's my baby.
Oh, there you go. Oh gosh,
Oh,
Dan
shut up,
Blackberry.
Dan.
This might be the answer of the evening.
Shut
Uneven.
up. Yeah, shut up, Dan.
Oh, shut up, Sneak is mild around these two. Actually, that's true.
Yeah, thanks.
The insults fly pretty fast and furious, don't they?
Mhm.
Aw. Yeah. Well, I would say the same thing about my cat, though. Steve's counting down the days till my cat dies. But she's my baby. I've had her for 19 years. She's 19 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, my little girl.
Mhm.
She's hard of hearing, so she makes a lot of noise. She thinks she's meowing quietly, but
Mhm.
of course, the real answer is all our parents. I would agree
Yeah.
with you, Trey. Oh, fuck. Oh, pardon me. Okay. I almost dropped the dice. Oh, what's the most immature thing you do?
What's the most immature thing I do?
Are there lots of them?
Yeah, kind of trying to narrow it down a little
I
bit.
know. Part of me is like, we're all immature. Oh.
So, what's the most immature thing?
Trey. Weed's always the answer with Trey.
Probably probably going down to the level of the idiots on Twitter sometimes. It's probably the most immature thing I would say I do right now.
Yeah.
Even though I love owning them on Twitter, I kind of have to go down to their level.
Yeah. And it's what's the time?
Okay, I'll change my push to talk on online games. It's probably because the push to talk. If you don't know about that, is that you press a button like a key on the keyboard, and it'll let you talk in game, pretty much. And when someone would tick me off during, let's say, Call of Duty or something like that, I would be like, press the key to push to talk, and I drop the C word.
Uh-oh.
And things like that. And I told someone told me to suck his dick, and I said if I wanted to feel like I was getting fingered by someone else, I'd turn lesbian.
Wow.
So yeah, push to talk is probably the most immature thing.
Yeah. Well, remember what I said? I think I said in your chat last week when people were trying to make like gaming a safe space and how you said it's ridiculous, you shouldn't go there. And I have said on many occasions, that's why I don't go to those things, because I know I can't handle it. And yes, I could not handle it. That was great, though. It was a good answers. No, but for once, Stieg is speechless. That must be a miracle. I hold grudges for yeah. Sometimes you gotta let things go. Least mature, engaging in fight. Yeah, most mature, leaving Twitter for now. Yeah. I think most mature would be a good question, except I think for most of us, it's like paying bill. What I do when I'm an adult, when I'm working, and oh, Jeannie Maxtig. I'm not even sure what that means, but should have told him I don't need to floss.
Well, I mean, I know what he means, but I'm
okay,
not gonna go
I'll
into
ask
that.
him later. Yeah, please don't put it in my chat. I'm trying to get monetized. I don't need to have my channel go. Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all are crazy. All right, let's go on to the next.
The when he says the shotgun N, I was playing with Nasmer one time, and I was using a shotgun while playing Call of Duty, and I killed one of the other players in the game, and someone said shotgun, and it's N word like real loud on the push on the open mic.
Uh-oh. Oh, look, people are showing restraint. Oh gosh. All right, our final one. This is a bit deep. What are you most afraid of?
Most afraid of. I'm trying to look past basically phobias I have, because those are just I can live with them. Shut up, Dan.
All of these are terrible.
Yeah. someone answer now. I'm seeing Stig in the chat.
Oh no! It's okay to lie on this part. It's okay. You do not have to be truthful.
So, I would say probably what I'm most afraid of is. I say I think probably what I'm most afraid of is living a life without accomplishing what I want to do.
Oh. Well, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Those biceps look afraid of Cardi. What? What the fuck? She's got amazing. Oh, wait. No gay here, but she's got amazing biceps.
Yes. Only a Bogart knows. Yeah,
only a Bogart knows. That's a question. That's correct, rather. Yeah. Life without meaning. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad I asked these questions because I don't have to answer them. And that is the final question. Yay!
I did not want to go into my phobias because Stig was in the chat.
I know you saw what he said.
Yes, I was like, I'm not gonna answer those.
Sam.
Yeah, your spiders, Sam, are you can ride them. That's how big they look.
They're the size of ponies.
It's like
that's where if I ever did go to Australia, spiders are actually my big phobia. Oh, holy crud, Tree.
Mm-hmm.
Never finding love again. Oh, life without meaning. And yeah, you have accomplished a lot. Yeah. My gosh, girl. Did I miss a comment by Timon? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. It was in response to Dan Blackroyd. Well, that's it. I want to thank you, Mara. This has been a blast. I'm so glad we were able to find a mutual time to do this because I know your schedule's full and mine's crazy too. This has been so much fun.
My schedule's going to get even crazier beginning next week. That's going to be fun.
Oh hell yes, yeah. And I mean, I won't lie. When she typed in, "How about Agatha Christie?" I squealed fangirl style. It was like, yes, finally, this is going to be amazing. Because the guests at Pub Crawl, they do get to choose the topic.
Yes.
Within reason. I always say within reason, just, because like I said, nothing that's kind of put us all in an FBI watch list because I do want to fly to Europe again sometimes. I want to do some more international travel.
No, you don't know how to give directions, Stig. You do not know how to give directions.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
They changed it so you have rather than show everything on the map, I had to select, press one of the buttons on the controller to change it to see certain things. And he's like, bring up the map. And I'm like, I am bringing up the fucking map.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing them.
I went through that too, and he talked me through it because I was like, I can't fight it. I want to fight this. I'm awful. See, that's why I couldn't be a gamer. I cry. And I get because I cry when I get frustrated. I cried at Skyrim. I don't know how many times.
When I get frustrated, I bang my controller against the desk.
Yeah. Well, as long as they don't break it like Ryan, my gosh. Road Warrior says
this one's pretty sturdy, so yay. I don't think I'll break it.
Well, I lost my temper today when I was playing Witcher 3, and I know enough that I just thumped my fist on a pillow. I didn't do anything that would cost money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Road Warrior. It's always good to see you. This is great. I'm going to pick up ABC Murders as my first Agatha Christie novel. Yay! Because yes, and glad everyone's here. Yes, this is amazing. And you see, we're doing good work because everything else sucks out there. So I love it when we can or my guests can give recommendations on good stuff to watch or good stuff to read.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wait, I'm not sure what that.
Well, that's in reference to Resident Evil. What Trey's comment is in reference to Resident Evil 7 when I was going through the playthrough of that, and there was a level in there that I kept dying. and it's
Oh.
like I can't go too I can't really go too deeply into like the lore of the games. But basically she changes into half woman, half spider of sorts. So I kept dying, and I called her that. It's like this erecta.
Oh. Yikes.
I was like, it was like, you want to talk rage? I was ready to throw my controller
Oh,
during that
okay.
part because I kept
No.
dying. I would get her close to death, and she would just get one good hit on me.
Oh, Janie Mick. Oh gosh, it's science. Stieg is terrible. That's the name of the cat that Stieg wants to die. It's terrible. It's not her fault. She's loud. She's deaf, and she's a chatterbox like her mama. Oh, she was pissed at that boss fight, says Stieg. I saw it. That it was shit design, though. I stand with Mara on that one. There you are.
Yeah.
Mara still needs more sniper.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. Okay,
well, to another game.
Well, okay, we do need to wrap this up. We've been going for 90 minutes, and I am now at 798 subs. Thank you so much, everyone. If let's get two more. Let's get two more, and I'll give ice cream out. I don't know. So thank you very much, everyone that's been here. Stieg, Gravy D, Trey Courtney, Orange Hat, Dan Blackroyd. Gosh, so many people. I can't name them all. It's just been a blast. Riker. If I missed anyone, it was not intentional. It just, a lot of things fly by, and my chat flies by. But before look, Sam the Cape says, Mara is an honorary Australian. Her mastery of the C word is practically local. And the fact that she can eat Vegemite by the spoonful, that is damned impressive.
Wow. Yeah, spoonful. It's salty, but I am eventually going to try it as you should, like on toast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There we go. All right. Well, tell us where we can find you.
You can find me in multiple locations on social media. I have a Twitter, OG Mara Jade, where I don't want to say I've toned it down, but I'm not on Twitter as much anymore. But when I am on Twitter, I basically roast the idiots and the SJWs as much as possible, because inevitably I find like someone has a stupid take regarding to entertainment industry, so I put them in their place. I also have a YouTube channel. This is my main one, Jade Shadow. You can find me there. I did take a break this week from making videos because I needed time to kind of decompress during the day. The plan is to hopefully go back to making videos next week, but it's probably going to be sporadic at best, given the renovation starting for my parents' kitchen. So I'm gonna figure out all that. I do have a live channel, Jade Shadow Live, where I do solo streams early Friday afternoon, where by myself, hanging out with the chat, talking pop culture topics, normally cringe, because you can't really find pop culture without the cringe nowadays. So I do that early Friday afternoon, and then shortly after that, I will jump onto one of my gaming channels and do a gaming stream. So I have Friday evening to relax, and tomorrow probably we'll play, we'll be live instead of on Twitch, on Kick. And since the Spider-Man 2 game is dropping later this year than I thought it would, I might actually play the Space Marine game, Anniversary Edition, tomorrow on Kick. So my Kick is Jade Shadow. So those, and my Twitch is Jade_Fire, but Twitch is doing a lot of stupid stuff recently, and they've pretty much, I think they've pretty much sped up the process of them no longer being around, given the decisions they made. So, but I still have Twitch, but from now I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on Kick.
Understood. Okay, well, you heard it here first, and thank you, everyone. I put some of the links in there, and you can find me here, of course, always at Miss Martin Muses, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Upcoming videos, I have some food porn, my mother's strawberry shortcake that she made for my birthday, as well as a lamb stew that I did for Easter. I also have another biography upcoming of Raymond Feist, and the long-awaited Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Solfege, how the music and communication worked between the alien, the French guy, and the keyboard. It's all actually a message in there by John Williams. I have finally been able to take that apart. It was very difficult to turn into video form, but that movie is a masterpiece and incredibly sound. Death by Chocolate. Well, we love chocolate here at Miss Martin Music. At least definitely I do. So you can see that. I'm going to be on Untamed Mando's channel on Saturday. We're going to talk about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And then a week from that Saturday, we will be continuing on my channel with Magician Master. We are taking the week off again because we're a bunch of traveling fools. And True Point, yes, the Feist series has a murder mystery book, actually, Murder in Lamut, which I plan to read after I finish the main story. So, well, oh, thank you so much, Orange Chat. I do appreciate it, and everyone, go over to Orange Chat, give him a sub, but especially give his stuff a watch. I think it's the watch hours that he's needing right now. Go to his playlist or something and play his stuff. Oh my gosh, you did not, Stieg. I actually called her unnamed. Okay, you're lying. You've got to be lying. He's in trouble. Oh gosh. Are you going to be talking about where it's at Untamed Mando's channel? That's going to be on Saturday. That we're doing The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is a series that she has done, but I just became open because of it's actually all Rennie's fault. So we should actually blame it on Rennie. I did too. Ask her. Okay, no, you're not lying. Steve doesn't lie. That's what usually gets him into trouble, actually. So, but I digress. There's no more roasting here. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to go and read anything Agatha Christie or solid mystery.
Yes.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.